consenting to something.
Yeah.
Therefore, whatever that agreement is the law.
That's right.
Both of them have agreed
Yeah,
to it.
the agreement of the parties is the law. So if you don't agree, it's not law.
Exactly.
So, or it's not given the force of law. Now, the problem with trying to dupe someone into believing this is that you're going to make mistakes. And now maybe Ivan Stafford believed in what he was saying, or he was trying to dupe me. Now, if he believed in what he was saying, then he's not a very good legal scholar, and his masters in law really doesn't count for much. So
I would suggest it was very deliberately worded, and he knows exactly what he's doing.
yeah, which is even worse than what I've just previously stated.
Yeah,
In my opinion, anyway.
because that's intentional.
Because that's
deceit.
deception.
And well, let's just say it wouldn't be the first time that we've come across it.
Yeah.
It seems to me that most of this hinges on deception, and the whole idea of consent making the law does touch upon something far, far greater in my mind, and that's that if you are able to object and you are able to vocalise your objection however you see fit, that is good enough. And to me, lawful rebellion, you know, obviously we're talking about a peaceful way of doing it, not a violent way of doing it, but is showing clearly, however you see fit, that you don't agree. You simply do not agree with what's going on.
You don't contract, basically.
Exactly it. And that is something which goes, I think it goes far, far deeper than what you would call, you know, statutes and regulations and whatnot. Consent on a fundamental level. If you withdraw your consent, you withdraw your consent to be governed. You know, a government is a representative one, and representation requires consent. And if you don't give your consent, there is no government.
It's supposed to be representative.
Yeah, well, it's
not even representative of the people, it's representative of persons.
Especially, yeah.
Simple as that. Well, we don't actually have a government, believe it or not.
Well,
we have the customs and laws of England, common law, natural law. And most people, that's what the vast majority of people live by. You know, you get some people who probably not right in the mind who will go around committing, you know, common law offences against people, you know, assault, battery, that sort of thing, burglary.
Yep.
But the vast majority of people don't do that because we all know what right and wrong is. This is what natural law is. Now, with all these statutes, legislation, it's all about getting money out of us. It's all commercial.
Yeah.
And therefore it requires a contract, and all of this, you know, government, statutes, legislation, courts, police, everything else, all comes under what is termed as social contract. So if you do your research on how laws in this England sort of have been developed up until what we're in now. Originally, it was mainly all about the common law, and then we had you know, de facto government come in with statutes and legislation, and that was termed as a social contract.
Yeah, just on that word de facto, that's something which is popping up more and more. The idea is that it assumes the guise of being lawful, a lawful authority, but in fact has no official representation. So it's almost like
it's fictitious.
It's fictitious. It appears to have the air of lawfulness about it, whereas in fact there is no such lawful authority that's been given it. It merely appears to have it.
It only has it by consent.
Yeah, exactly. So, and the consent is withdrawn is taken in such a way that it's either assumed, i.e. you've been noticed 3 or 4 times, you've ignored the notices, and so they're assuming that you're agreeing by the fact that you've not said anything, or the other one is, and this is a far more delicate subject, but is when you're appearing in court and it's assumed that you're acting on behalf of the person, and so you're held as surety.
Well, it's an assumption that you are admitting that you are the person, and this is a fundamental part of it. Is that you cannot be the person. The person is a fictitious legal entity. It's a piece of paper,
right.
And you cannot possibly be the person. You are a man or a woman. But again, it goes into deception and the way we've been conditioned from childhood.
Yep.
to
You
believe
represent.
that we are the name,
Yeah.
and we're not the name. We only have a given appellation. So if you can deal with that, and then deal with not giving you consent, it's very tough for them to do anything.
Yeah. And for me,
Without force, anyway.
I've got to say, just to like wrap things up, is like it's been incredible. As hard as it is for some people to identify with this information, and I'm sure that there's loads and loads of lawyers out there and barristers and people that work in positions of so-called authority that will fight tooth and nail to argue the facts and argue what you're saying, because they've spent such a long time in it. I feel almost fortunate that my entire life I've never believed in government. My parents have told me from day one, don't trust a politician as far as you can throw them. They didn't know why they were saying it, other than they inherently felt it. They knew by watching these individuals on TV not to trust them, you know. And it's just like, well, now we kind of see why. You know, they may be willful stooges, they may be clueless in the fact that they're just a small cog in a big machine, but they're still part of it, you know.
Yeah.
For me, it was easy to come across this type of information and see how we've been deceived, because it's like we all know it. We all know this already, but we're just like, well, you know, it seems to be working, you know, it's a big hassle to...
Yeah. Well, Brian Gerrish, earlier speaking here, has gone into how groups like Common Purpose use NLP. The more traditional method is just repeating and repeating and repeating.
That works.
And when you're 5 years old, you get sent into school. And, you know, you're answering to your name, you're believing your name, and you're being told, don't answer back, do as you're told, keep quiet. And you've gone through a system that's drilled this into you.
Yeah. Don't make waves.
Preparing you for the legal society.
Yeah.
And then you go into work and it's all legality, paperwork, and so you condition to believe that this is real life, and it's not. It's completely fictitious.
Right.
When you recognise that, when you realise who you are, that you're a man and you're not a person, and that it's you as the authority, and you only give it away through your consent, then you know, life starts changing for you.
Yeah, that's right. And so just one last thing. So right, so now you've served your papers. I'm going to shoot a little close up of the this mighty car that you've got, which is no longer a vehicle.
Well, actually, in here I've claimed to use the word vehicle.
Oh, you have?
Yeah.
Okay, so it could be a vehicle, depending on if you decide it is or not.
It's a vehicle, all right. Yeah, because I've claimed
But
the
not
word,
their definition of a vehicle.
but not their legal definition of vehicle. No.
Right. So anyway, so you serve the papers. You've done what you see is the best possible answer. What's your intention moving forward?
Well, this has gone on to the Secretary of State for Transport, Jeff, who's now acquiescing.
Yeah.
And so basically, it comes to a stop. I've perfected it all. The only thing they can now do is use force against me, which I don't think. I mean, why would I really want to bother? Because I mean, this is all lawful. I act peacefully. I do things honourably by notifying. Sending notices, and then as long as there's acquiescence, there's agreement of the parties, then I do what I intend to do, and I live my life and enjoy it.
Cool.
And that's what everybody should be doing.
And Richie made a very nice declaration, which he made public via our wonderful YouTube. What's your YouTube channel? I'm just thinking.
It's Pleasure Dome 85.
Pleasure Dome 85 on YouTube. Go along and check it out. I believe he's one of the first to make this kind of declaration over YouTube. I know John
Maybe.
Host. Yeah, I think he might be one of the first few, at least the first few that I've come across.
It's a great idea. Anybody who is motivated by this and knows that this is the right way to go, do one yourself and get it up on YouTube, because you know it's you on there speaking your words. You don't need a notary, and it's in the public. You're notifying the public, and that's very, very good. I personally think that's more powerful than actually doing a notice of understanding and claim of right on as printed documents.
That's right. because all you're doing at the end of the day is just making a statement and saying